anywhere you are watching from. This is Linda's TV show and I welcome you all. If you like what you are watching or hearing from this platform, kindly subscribe, put on your notification bell to all notification. This will enable you to know when we upload a new video. Here, we react to all forms of videos, local, especially what is happening in Nigeria and in Biafra land. I put a disclaimer that here in Linda's TV show, we do not promote misleading information, hate speech, violence, instigating war. We are here to inform, educate, sanitize the members of the public about what is happening. I seize this opportunity to appreciate YouTube for creating.
Nigerian watching this, you guys should be very, very, very upset that your government is spending this kind of money to change, to put out a false narrative instead of protecting your people. You Nigerian senators, congressmen, and politicians should be very upset about what's happening in your country, while hundreds of your innocent people are murdered every week. Every single week. Thousands of your people are getting kidnapped. This Judd Saul, the executive director of Equipping the Persecuted. You know, I don't try to come out every day and get a lot of attention by putting out videos of myself. Usually the purpose for doing this is just because I have something that I have to say and that I'd like to raise attention and a certain awareness about. And I just wanted to come out and say this. So I just got back from Washington, D.C. I was at the International Religious Freedom Summit. And lo and behold, the Washington, D.C. lobby firm known as DCI Group, the company that has taken over $9 million from the Nigerian government to put out a narrative that there's no genocide, that everything, you know, is okay. And poor Tinubu has just inherited such a mess that he can't handle everything that's going on, but also to say that there really is no genocide taking place. It's just people being affected, and poor Tinubu just doesn't have enough resources. I just want to point a few things out real fast. First of all, DCI is a Republican-leaning firm that took $9 million, which I refer to as Judas money, to lay cover for the genocide that's happening in Nigeria. While Mrs. Tinubu, the First Lady of Nigeria, is parading around Washington, D.C., going to these high-level meetings, eating at the fancy restaurants, while she's out here saying that, oh, poor Tinubu is in over his head and that there's really no genocide taking place, the fact remains that while she's here, over 300 Christians have been massacred within the last 72 hours. In Taraba, in Benue, major attack in Kwara, killing in Plateau. The vast majority of these victims are Christian. The people doing the killing are Fulani, ethnic militia. The attacks in Kwara were committed by radical Islamists. Now, while Nigerian government is spending $9 million bringing a delegation to the United States to say that, you know, there's no genocide going on, it's okay. You know, they could have spent that $9 million protecting their own citizens. I'm gonna make you aware of really how things work in Nigeria, to put it in perspective, because I don't think most Americans or Westerners really understand how this works. Did you know that the average soldier in Nigeria makes $100 a month? The average police officer makes about $100 a month, if they're lucky, and even if they get paid on time. Now do the math. $9 million can pay for a lot of security personnel at $100 a month, especially in the very hard hit areas that get attacked over and over and over and over again with no security. Now, I'd like to highlight a certain thing, a specific instance of what we know had happened in Benue, in Kwandi, in the Kwandi area. The local police and military were in the middle of a rotation. Now, that means soldiers and police are moving out and new ones are moving in, but they don't do it at the same time. One goes and then one comes. But for some magical reason, the terrorists knew that there was a rotation taking place, that the military was moving and that the police were moving. Somehow, magically, the terrorists knew when this was going to happen, so there was no security in the area. And then they go and unleash and kill civilians. Women, children, men were murdered in these attacks. And there was just an attack last night, new attack in Benue, not too far from Kwandi. All while the First Lady is spending Nigerian government money to put out the false narrative that there is no genocide against Christians. To every Nigerian watching this, you guys should be very, very, very upset that your government is spending this kind of money to change, to put out a false narrative instead of protecting your people. You Nigerian senators, congressmen, and politicians should be very upset about what's happening in your country, while hundreds of your innocent people are murdered every week. Every single week. Thousands of your people are getting kidnapped yearly. Sometimes multiple hundred in one setting with no police or military intervention. This lies on your shoulders. The responsibility to protect your people rests on your shoulders. And instead of expounding all this energy and money to put out propaganda, why don't you just take your resources, your energy, your connections, and your efforts to actually solve the problem, which would bring about a better future for all Nigerians and be a better future for your country? Is the little naira, the little payoffs worth it? Is the bribery you're taking from the bad guys worth it? You want to keep running your country into the ground for little pieces of silver, betraying your own people to benefit yourselves? Or would you rather see a prosperous, functioning Nigeria that is the beacon of all Africa and could be a beacon to the rest of the world of what a prosperous, secure, free society looks like? I ask you this question. I'm still going to be coming to Nigeria. Our teams are still going to be working on the ground, trying to pick up the pieces after these attacks, the pieces that you guys failed to pick up. We're going to help the lives of the people that you're refusing to help. But we're still going to be a voice for the voiceless in your country and across the world. We're going to be a voice for the suffering Nigerian Christians. And we're not going to back down. And I don't care if you're waiting it out till Trump is out of office, which I've heard is what you guys are doing. You're planning on waiting it out till Trump's out of office. Just play the game for long enough as your people continue to suffer, get kidnapped, get massacred. There's no reason for this. Do the right thing for once. Stand up for your people. Protect the innocent. Fight the evil that is killing the innocent, that is doing the kidnapping. And to my fellow brothers and sisters in Nigeria, my fellow Christian brothers and sisters, you guys need to speak up. You prosperity preachers need to speak up. Christians in Nigeria need to unite under one voice to say enough is enough. And to the Muslims in Nigeria, that are sick and tired of watching people being killed and kidnapped, and they just want to see a free, prosperous Nigeria, you need to join in the chorus with the Christians and say, enough is enough. All it takes is willpower. All it takes is everybody getting behind one another, helping one another to defeat this evil. And to my friends, my colleagues, and to the politicians that represent us in the United States, President Trump, we could be doing a lot more in Nigeria to give the good guys a helping hand. But we need to identify who's doing the killing and acknowledge it. We need to identify all the bad actors, including the Fulani ethnic militia. It's not just ISIS. It's not just Boko Haram. The group that's responsible for doing the vast majority of the killings of Christians is the Fulani ethnic militia, and you have to identify them for who they are if we're going to put a stop to it. I'm asking you, President Trump, Marco Rubio, Tulsi Gabbard, put time, effort, and resources into exposing the Fulani ethnic militia. It's not just Boko Haram and ISIS that are dangerous. There's a third large terror element called the Fulani ethnic militia that need to be dealt with. But I'm asking for the world to join, brothers and sisters across the world to join this cause. If you'd like to help persecuted Christians on the ground immediately instead of waiting for political action and political help, which I hope one day comes. In the meantime, there's dead bodies. There's wounded in the hospitals that we're taking care of. We need all the help we can get at equippingthepersecuted.org. For a little over $1 a month, you can partner with us at equippingthepersecuted.org. Join the cause. Be a part of the solution instead of just talk. God bless you all, and may God help Nigeria.
So, I mean, we've probably spent to this point around 65 million.
Okay, 65 million naira.
Maybe 70 million.
70 million naira.
Maybe. I have to look, but somewhere in that area.
Okay, 65.
Around there.
Around.
For all the costs associated with being able to do this.
You do a great work in
And then, you know, other organizations or even government, they say 1 billion for 66 homes.
1 billion?
Is that not this? 1 billion, 66 homes is what I saw online.
Oh,
60,
my God.
66 homes.
Yes.
For 1 billion. But we built 34, 35 from the ground up for 60 million. The 2-bedroom.
Nigeria.
And so, if we can have 1 billion naira, if people can help support, because I have to raise money for this. I don't have the money just sitting in the bank. I raise. Okay, let's go here. Let's be efficient. Let's build here. And if we have 1 billion, we build like 3,000 homes.
Yes, it's possible. It's possible.
To go back to their ancestral land, not to put them in a separate settlement. Because how can they survive if they don't have the land to farm? Everybody here farms. That's how they live. If they have no farmland, and then you can't expect others to also give away farmland, because that's how they survive. So we want to help build homes where they already live. Rebuild where it has been burned. That way they can go home, they can heal, they can survive, they can be self-sufficient.
All over the world, there are 5 stages to Islamization. Whatever the world likes to do with this information is left to them. They can either accept it, apply it, get results, or they can carry it and put it in their pockets. That is their business. But it is within my mandate to speak the truth to power, to expose people, bring the light of God to the mind of the nation. There are 5 stages to Islamization in Nigeria. Either in Nigeria or all over the world, there are 5 stages of Islamization. Number 1 is movement. Now this movement is divided into 2. Either by migration or by invasion. So they come to and they migrate to a new settlement. And in the process of that migration, when they come there, they look so peaceful. They are not violent. When they migrate to a new society, that is why you see that they say, these people are loving, these people are kind, these people are peaceful. They migrate. And that's why you find that is happening in the whole of Europe today. They are moving at an accelerated rate, migrating. The second part of that movement, or the second way it can happen, is through invasion. Meaning that they come, conquer the people, fight them, destroy them, and take over their territory. This is what we saw when the Fulanis invaded by Usman Dan Fodio. When they invaded the Hausa land in the north. I hope you know that are indigenous Hausa people. The Kobiris. Is it the Kabawa or something like that? They are indigenous Hausa people. They were conquered by Danfodio. So that is by invasion. They invade. So they invaded the north, conquered the north, and they took hold of the north. But they have not been what they are doing in other parts of Nigeria is by migration. What you see that is happening in Europe today is by migration. So they will go there, settle down there. But at that time, they look so peaceful. You look at them and you say, these people are loving and kind. But there's an agenda. The second stage is population. At the first stage, they are not much, so they look so peaceful. The second stage is to ensure that they become about 40 to 50% of the population of that nation. So they begin to multiply, give birth to 5 children, 7 children, have as many as 5 wives, 4 wives. You think it's by play? No. It's an agenda to ensure that they are the most populous in that place. That's why today you hear them say, the north is very populous. Parents give birth to children they cannot cater for. But there's an agenda just to ensure that they are the most populous. Are you learning? So at that stage, the next stage, once they have been able to settle, the next thing they begin to do is to ensure that they are the majority. So they begin to increase in population. Reproducing and reproducing. Bringing in their colleagues, bringing in their family from different parts to ensure that they overwhelm that place with number. To ensure that there are about 40-50% of population in that place. That is stage 2. Some 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you go to the UK, you find very little Muslims. Very little. Some 20-25 years ago, if you go to the UK, you find very little mosque. But today, there are thousands of mosques in Europe. In UK, in Canada, there are thousands of them. So when they come, they act so peaceful in stage 1. But in stage 2, the moment they know that they begin to get number, then that is where the agenda begin to go into place. So the second stage is that they multiply. Then when that has happened, then they move to the third stage. What is the third stage? The third stage is to position themselves in power, in government, in the military. Strategic positions, strategic places. Are you with me? That's why if you go to Abuja now, and you go to federal government parastatals, you see almost everywhere, malams everywhere. Malams everywhere. Position themselves in military. Overwhelm the military in number. The Northerners are the most in the military today. Both army, air force, police, whatever it is, they are more in number. So they position themselves in strategic position in government. They begin to get power. That was how they did it in Turkey. They begin to get power. That was how they did it in Lebanon. But there's an agenda. And I pity UK. I pity Europe. Because when their agenda is fully materialized, what is happening in Nigeria will be a chance play to them there. Today you have cities and colonies and cities in Europe that are governed by Muslims, by Arabs. You think they're trying to be liberal. The Europe is playing political correctness, but they have no idea what they're doing. So stage 3 is that they position themselves in key places in government. Key places in government. Go to any federal government parastatal today in Nigeria, I assure you, you find them all. In military, they're there. Civil servants are there. Are you with me? That's what they do. That's stage 3. Then when they know that they have succeeded in stage 3, then they move to stage 4. Stage 4 is the most dangerous. And what is stage 4? Implementation of Sharia. Stage 4 happened in Nigeria in the year 2000. 1999-2000. That was when stage 4 happened in Nigeria. Where Sharia was instituted, implemented in Nigeria. In 12 northern states in Nigeria. 12! Every time I remember that thing, it breaks my heart. And I begin to ask myself, what were the father of faith in Nigeria looking at? What were they looking? What were the Christian leaders looking? When people were implementing Sharia, knowing fully well that the laws of Sharia permit somebody to kill another person that speaks against their God. It permits them to destroy somebody's property that is not in alignment with the principle of Sharia. Knowing that the principles of Sharia breed extremism. This is what brings terrorism today. So every time I remember, God asked myself, how did this happen in Nigeria? That 12 states in Nigeria is practicing Sharia. What were the Christian leaders looking at that period? But just like it was in the days of Turkey, the Christian leaders were busy building tabernacles, 20,000 capacity, 100,000 capacity. They were bragging themselves in how big their capacity is, how big their cathedrals are. And these guys were strategically positioning themselves. The Christian leaders were busy raising big cathedrals. They were positioning themselves in of Islam. The Islamic, the Muslims, they were positioning themselves. The jihadists, they were positioning themselves in government. And when that happens, they implemented Sharia. Today, all the big cathedrals have been turned to mosque in those nations. Stage 4 is the most dangerous. The moment you have allowed them to succeed in implementing Sharia, there's no way stage 5 will not succeed. I'm giving you stages. I'll tell you how it is. I speak by the Spirit. I'm not speaking carelessly. For the Lord is he that worketh in me both to will and to do of his good pleasure. That which I speak is by the Spirit. And they institute Sharia. Knowing fully well that the principles of Sharia breed extremism, the teachings of Sharia breed extremism in people. What we are seeing today is as a result of the implementation of stage 4, which is that happened in the year 1999, 2001, where 12 states, starting with Zamfara State, implemented Sharia by a governor. In fact, the governor, I've forgotten that his name, the governor said it is his desire, it is a desire that the whole of Nigeria practice Sharia. And we say we are a secular state. So they started with 12 states. How did they allow 12 states of Nigeria to be practicing a law that gives another person a right to kill another person in the name of blasphemy? How did they allow that? What were the Christian leaders looking at that period? Of course, I was a boy at that age in the early 2000s. What were the fathers of it looking at? What was God looking at? Today, many people have been killed in the north simply because of Sharia. They'll say, you speak against their God. They behead you. They behead somebody. They bust Deborah Samuel alive. So the Jacksonis has been sentenced to life in prison, and many others have been killed in the name of blasphemy. At the moment, why do I need to be careful to speak? I say, speak against your God. Can't your God come and fight for himself? But they allow such a law in Nigeria. A law that permits somebody to stone, to kill another person. Stage 4 is the most dangerous. Implementation of Sharia. Today, you see in the UK, people that run away from their nation to go and seek asylum. Today, they're telling shouting in the UK, Sharia for UK. We want Sharia in the UK. Sharia in the UK. And I tell you, if the UK permits that, even if it is one state that legalize Sharia, that institute Sharia, they're finished. When the war, let them continue to play political correctness. But when the war starts, they will regret permitting it. Now they are permitting themselves. Today you see mayors and councillors and all those people in the UK that are Muslims. You think it's not, there's an agenda, they're waiting. The moment they know that they are paying majority of the powers in the state, then they begin to implement laws. That is contrary to the indigenous, that is contrary to the original laws of the people there. Stage 4. And when stage 4 has been achieved, that there is the implementation of Sharia, then the next stage is jihad. The moment Sharia is succeeded, what we are seeing today is jihad. All the chaos, overwhelm the nation with so much chaos. So that the people will be bowed, they'll be forced to bow and accept what you're paying. Jihad. Everything you are seeing today is jihad. Oh my God. If you know how many lives have been lost to this cause. That's why I'll keep saying it. Sharia must be abolished in Nigeria. We're a secular nation, not an Islamic nation. We're a secular nation, not a what? Not an Islamic nation. We cannot be in a nation to say we're a secular nation. And some people are carrying a law that permit them to cause chaos. Sharia must be abolished. If Nigeria wants to remain peaceful, if Nigeria wants to get an atom of peace again, everything that permits extremism, everything that facilitates extremism must be abolished. Then they go for jihad. In that jihad, it's either you accept or you'll be killed. What you see in community in church, Benue, Kaduna, Nasarawa, part of Taraba, part of Gombe, Borno State, it's jihad. And now they have entered Kwara State, jihad. From there they will move to Osun. From there, the moment they conquer the southwest, then they'll begin to move from southwest to north, from north, and be converging to ensure that southeast, because southeast will be the most difficult for them to conquer. So they begin to come from this side, begin to come from there to ensure that they overwhelm the people at the center. That must not happen in Nigeria. Jihad. These 5 stages, everywhere you go all over the world, these are the 5 stages of Islamization. I'm sharing with you what today. Whatever you like, you do with this information is entirely your own business. But you'll be very foolish to discard what I just said. Save it. Keep it in your phone everywhere. Be watching it. You'll be foolish to discard this information. You'll be foolish to discard this information. Like I said, I don't have anything against Muslims. Practice your religion, my practice mine. If I have a mandate to preach to you, if I preach to you, you don't accept, go. There is no forcing in the kingdom of God. But for you to say you want to Islamize, you want to turn Nigeria to a Sharia state, that will never work. It will never work.
Hello, my wonderful people. As we have finished watching this interesting video, please, I want to see your comment, your contribution, your opinion in the comment section. Like I said earlier, let us do it constructively. Tell me what you think about this video that you have just watched, and also about the platform. If you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Please remember to subscribe, put on your notification bell, share this video, and remain blessed.